Hey, welcome back to my channel. My name is Brooke. Thanks for joining today. If you're new here, this is a this is a place where I talk about houseplants and do DIYs on my shorts. So if you haven't, take a minute and subscribe to my channel. That way you can be up to date on all my latest videos. If you are a recurring viewer, thanks so much for coming back and watching another video. Today, we're going to do a box store. I don't even know if I would call this a box store because I think it is a plant store. So let's do plant store walkthrough. So I recently went to Green Acres in Irving, Texas, and they are a California-based plant nursery, but one recently opened up in the area, I think last year, and actually just heard about it maybe a month ago. And so I saw pictures online and I really wanted to go check this out. So I did. So I'm going to be walking through that. And then I'm going to do a little bit of reveal, at the end of what I got. So let's go see what they've got. So right off the bat, they have these beautiful, large, lush, painted lady philodendrons. This is by far one of my most favorite plants in my collection, and so to see them this large was awesome. So these were $140, the same with the Epiprimnum albos and the Brandies. I think those were actually maybe $145, maybe they were $140, maybe $185, I cannot remember. But let's see, $145, okay. But they were really pretty. I do not have luck with Brandies, but I was just amazed at all of the plants that they had, and I really like how they had them all sectioned out. So this was their rare or uncommon section. I'm honestly not sure if this was a Florida Ghost or a Florida Mint. I believe it was a Florida Ghost. And then they had a Pink Princess for $200, which I'm not going to lie, I thought that was a little bit much for the size of it, seeming they're coming down in cost now. But they did have two beautiful pink leaves. And then, of course, my absolute favorite plant, Philodendron Burley Marks, $185. I was happy to see this guy in person. I did not get it. Spoiler. I already have one, but it's such a beautiful plant. And then, of course, the Philodendron Boletiers. I have seen these many times now coming up. $55. They're coming down in cost, which is awesome. And then some Ring of Fires, some Hoyas, Brandies. Again, I'm not touching those. $27.50. Somebody else can have them. The Ring of Fires were $55. And then they had this IKEA cabinet filled with different plants. I know these are anthuriums. I don't know what kind. Philodendrons, Philodendron gloriosum, I believe. And then they said a Monstera obliqua, which was $70. I'm not sure about that. I've seen so many videos of people, going back and forth on what's a real obliqua. But anyways, these cacti were really awesome. They were $99. Which, if you're new to the plant world, those are really uncommon cacti. And then they had just a ton of plants. They had this fuzzy petiole for $10. I have sworn these off because mine got spider mites. And then they had the Hoya Hindu robe, the unvariegated version, but they also had the variegated version, which was $20. And that is the lowest cost I've ever seen one of these small plugs. Tons of Philodendron Birkins, which are beautiful, and pothos on wood planks, and then just random plants stuck in between. That was a Rhaphidophora decursiva, a ton of these fuzzy petioles, and so many more. There were tons of sizes, so you could get larger pots, smaller pots. They had a ton of small little string of things, pearls, turtles, arrows, literally so many options if you are into those. I'm not into the pearls. And then Marantas, of course. I love these guys. They are my favorite for $7.75. That's, again, the cheapest I've ever seen them. And then I had to look at the Calathea orbifolia because this is one of my favorite plants. And $7.75. Again, the cheapest I have ever seen it. The beautiful hanging baskets above. It's like you have to look everywhere. You can't just look directly ahead. You have to look down, and there were some under the shelves of these larger plant stacking areas. I don't know what you call them, but Just a ton of plants, baby monsteras, which were $7.75. And then again, a plant that I was excited to see was this Hoya pubicalix. So I had one, and I still have one, but this was $7.75. Which to me is just unheard of because I purchased mine in 2020, I know, for $30. So to see some of the cost on these plants was crazy. It was just a great deal. All of their air plants, and again, great deals on these guys. I know that they can be costly, and I assume that they have their own sourcing or like sourced straight from their own nurseries in California. So that maybe is what makes this such a low costing plant store, but it was crazy to see some of these, like the Stiplicanas, I believe were $32.50, but it was a giant basket. They were overflowing, and just so many others. This beautiful peperomia hope, and just so much more. So this was a great store. I would definitely come back. These pretty calathea for $13.50. This was a beautiful variety that I have never seen before. And then what was shocking was this plow Manny. This was $13.50. I could not believe that these were in store. Again, just some uncommon plants that you don't see every day. I have one of these already. I actually purchased mine from the Tipsy Gardener. But beautiful Hoya, tons of varieties. Again, these beautiful trial stars that I love so much and have tried 3 times and know that I just can't keep them in my home. But they were stunning. They were only $32, which again, just a great price. These beautiful large carry eyes, which I could not tell if they had plugs in them, or not plugs, nodes, so that they would actually grow more leaves, but really pretty, beautiful trees, ficus of all kinds. So that was really it. Some great plants, great prices, tons of varieties. They even had these carnivorous plants, which I'm not going to lie, I was really hoping they had butterworts or sundews. I have been on the hunt for those, but some carnivorous plants and a huge alocasia section that I didn't even go in. I used to collect alocasia, so this was exciting to see all of these rare alocasia that I once pined after and got, and then got rid of back in store. And so some beautiful varieties like this one. I don't know what it is, but it was stunning, and it was $27.50. Then this cuprea, which are beautiful alocasia. I just don't collect them anymore, but it was stunning. And again, back to the rare Hoyas that I wanted to show because I don't know what they are. They're $135. I'm not into collecting Hoya. This one didn't have a price tag on it, and so couldn't tell you what it ranged, but very interesting, very beautiful selection, tons and tons of plants. So if you are looking for your new house plant or for your beginning house plant, this is definitely a place to check out if you're in this area. So let's go back and see what I got. So that was them. So it was awesome plant store, house plant store, and just general plant nursery. They had a ton of outdoor plants. It was just way too hot to go out there, and I don't need outdoor plants, so I wasn't going to look through all of them, but a ton of plants, a ton of plant like accessories, you know, plant, wow, I can't even think. Tools, there you go. Tools, like anything for your gardenscape. They had outdoor furniture, just a ton of stuff. And so I was really pleased with it. It was awesome. Their houseplant section was, as you saw, so great and just so many varieties. The one thing I will say that bummed me out about them was that they didn't have their plants named or labeled. All of them just said houseplant, or like, let's look at this one that I got, foliage assorted. It didn't actually have the plant name. So if you walked in there and you didn't know anything about plants, that you were just into it, you would pick up a calathea just because it's pretty. I mean, maybe you would do that anyways, but you would pick up a houseplant and you would have no idea what it is. You wouldn't even know how to search it. That was the only bummer thing. I was so excited when I saw the philodendron burley marks variegated, because it is by far one of my favorite plants, like this guy. So I did not pay $185 for mine. I bought this as a small plug, and so it did not cost that much. But that is a beautiful plant. Like, honestly, if I spent money on one plant, genuinely, it would be this plant. It's so pretty. The variegation is stable, as far as I'm concerned, and it's just a beautiful, easy to grow plant. It's stunning. So if you're there and you're in the area and you want like a really unique, higher costing plant, like this one, this guy is it. It's my favorite plant by far. But they had really great prices on a lot of their plants, as you saw. So even from Lowe's and Home Depot, you know, the pothos, the enjoys, and the pearls and jade, they're so costly. And I don't know why, because I guess I haven't seen them a lot, but then again, I have seen them. So for a larger pot, probably like a 6-inch pot at Home Depot, they're $10. So for there, it was like $7, $8, you know, but they had so many of them. And I thought that was a really great price, because again, I have seen them in other plant stores for way more than that, like a small pot for $20. And I don't understand why. I really do like my enjoy. So I don't have the pearls and jade, is a little bit more splashy. I don't know. The enjoy is a little bit more patchy. There you go, rhyming. But I was surprised to see so many of them and for that low cost. And then the plant that I got, which I was so excited. Oh yeah, also the Plow Manny, I was super surprised to see that there. And at that cost, like that was $14, I think. So that was pretty inexpensive. I honestly think that's what I bought mine for, $15. But I bought that through the Tipsy Gardener, who always has the lowest prices. So if you're in Canton around First Monday, like go check her out, because you will not find any prices like hers. But I thought that was a really good deal. And so the plant that I got, which was the melanochrysum. So I kept going back to it, because I have a melanochrysum. I actually drove to Fort Worth for this one, which is even farther than Irving. And yes, I had to chop it all up, but I paid $30 for it. And so this one was $20. I thought that was, yeah, I know that they're coming down in price. Like every time I buy a plant, I feel like it comes down in like an expensive amount, but I thought that was a crazy price for this guy, seeming like a couple of years ago, you couldn't find one like under 100. But I bought a melanochrysum because I really love this plant. Like this is actually was one of my wish list plants at one point. And this is why you don't have wish list plants, because they always disappoint you. But Pink Princess, melanochrysum, you just don't. So I bought this. I want to try again. So my first time with it, I got spider mites on it, and I could not get them to go away. And I know that that is the number one problem that everyone has with these plants. And so they get the splendid, because it is a melanochrysum. I don't know if it's a varicosum melanochrysum cross, but it's one of those with the melanochrysum. They have same beautiful, like large leaves. They're a little bit more red, I think. And so that's what, or like crinkly. And so that's what makes me think it's the varicosum, but I honestly couldn't tell you. However, people have not had the spider mite issue with that splendid that they do with the melanochrysum. I just decided to chop it all up because I could not get rid of them. I couldn't figure it out, and it was only on this plant. So it sat right here, but next to my mammy eye, and I was terrified that it was going to get spider mites to that, and it never did. it only stuck to this melanochrysum. And so I was thankful for that, but I also just didn't like that anymore. So I just chopped it all up, and it has been propagating. It actually has propagated very well in sphagnum moss. I did not lose a single cutting that I took from it, which is not heard of for me. But it's rooting really well. These are actually Albo pothos cuttings, so ignore that, but they're rooting very well. And I'm going to just pop them all up together. So it was the review of that. I really loved it. I would go back, obviously not go back like a week or maybe even a month, but I would definitely revisit the store in the future, because again, it's kind of a far drive for me. That was my walkthrough, so I hope you enjoyed it. Be sure and subscribe so you can see more videos, and we'll see you next time.